We're doing something different today. Whoa, different. We're changing it up. Abnormality. We love abnormality. So abnormal. Today, we are talking about none other than Reddit. Yes, the slimy, chunky, greaseball basement dwellers of the internet. Well, it's not like that doesn't apply to most people on the internet. But for me, I'm getting a little specific. No, you didn't guess it, because you probably didn't know it existed. I'm talking about r/f cars.
We make it look easy.
Now on this subreddit, they like to discuss the harmful effects of car dominance, which honestly doesn't really seem that bad. It's completely fine to not like cars. Hate them even. But what if I said it goes a little further than that? Well, it goes a little further than that. Now, as you can see, there are posts talking about mass transit machines and other events, with even some posts calling out the failure of some, electric cars with their safety features, like this car right here that ran over a mannequin. To be fair, I probably would have done this without the self-driving feature anyways, so all in all, there are posts talking about the lack of car infrastructure and how nice a lot of those things are. But then there are posts like this. Now, this says cars parked near Gatwick found covered in poo and food waste, which obviously to any normal person would see that as absolutely disgusting. First, because someone chucked fecal matter at someone's vehicle, and second, they messed with their property. And as I'm about to show you, there's a bit of a consistency with these posts. It goes from just hating and criticizing car infrastructure and car dominance to just promoting and encouraging stuff like this. Like, first of all, I don't even get why someone would take the time out of their day to even fill up a container with their fecal matter. And then second of all, if you're mad about them parking there or whatever, you think chucking fecal matter at them is going to solve the issue? Like, congratulations, you just committed a crime because you're angry. And even this one person right here says nice. Like, what? Now, it's not confirmed whether the person who committed this crime actually hates cars. They're probably just mad that they parked in that holder's place without a holder's permit. What relevance does this have about car infrastructure and the overabundance of it? See, there's posts like this talking about modern trucks and how they're super high above ground, but I don't get what a post like this has to do in a subreddit bashing about car infrastructure, especially when one of their rules is to be on topic. Now, this post is rather small, there's not a lot of traction on it, right? I can't assume that everybody on the subreddit is like this. Here's this post right here where they're saying LA protesters are stoning LA police cars. Now, I don't really care to discuss any of the political aspects of this, but again, I just fail to see the relevancy of this post. If the point of the subreddit was to talk about the harmful effects of car dominance, why are you posting a video about destroying police cars? It just feels like a direction is being taken from like, yeah, here's all the bad things about cars to, yeah, I love when cars get destroyed. Now there's this post where someone calls the person who made the TikTok video a car brain. Like, is that just a slur amongst the subreddit? What do you mean car brain? Like, that doesn't really make much sense. Like, unless you're talking about car enthusiasts, sure, but like most people aren't car enthusiasts, they just use cars to commute. I'm not sure where this is, and there doesn't seem to be a bike lane anywhere, but this just seems to be a minor complaint, just like if anybody on here would post a minor complaint about, car infrastructure dominance or whatever. But then this poster says, ridiculous how murder is someone's first reaction to a vulnerable road user exercising their rights. Now the reason why they're saying that is because on this next slide here, someone's saying, let's go bike bowling in a joking manner. Now anybody with a brain could understand that this person is joking. Obviously they're not wanting to run people over. That's stupid. But there is quite an interesting discussion on the other side, where this person here says if there isn't a bike lane and they can't go the speed limit, then why are they allowed in the street? Now my guess would be, where else could they go? It's not like they can go on the sidewalk, right? People walk there. Regardless of the stigma, bike riders do exist and they should be able to share the road with cars. And even if there is no like speed limit sign on the road for cars to see, there is an average speed limit that you're supposed to follow anyways. And ideally it wouldn't really hurt you if you're just behind bikes that are going slow, right? Does it really like mess up that much of your day? I'm not sure about other states, but where I am, in the driver's manual does go over situations that talk about bikers and stuff like that and what to do if there aren't any lanes. It could be different anywhere else, but I know that if there are bikes on the road, you just, stay behind them. A little off topic, but I thought it was interesting to talk about. Now, this post isn't really anything crazy in particular. I just thought it was funny that a 65-year-old woman is calling their daughter a car brain. Now, here's this post where some driver crashes into these people. Now, as you can see from this part of the video, yeah, they drive into them and they're okay. I guess I just don't really get the point of this though. Like, is it to say, oh, cars are dangerous and they shouldn't exist? Because I think every driver knows that cars are dangerous. And on top of that, so are many other conveniences in our life as well. McDonald's is dangerous to everybody who consumes it. I wonder how many people in this subreddit eat McDonald's. And the thing is, like, there's obviously going to be a downside with something like cars. You get faster, more convenient travel, but there's also a risk of having really big incidents. Like, people may not be aware of every single car accident or something that happens involving a vehicle, but the average person is aware that they can get into an accident and something could happen if they're not engaged on the road. Then again, there are a lot of people who text and drive, so I don't know, you're just gonna have a downside with something like this inevitably, and I feel like getting mad over it when there's just so many benefits to cars is, you know, not everybody drives a car because they love to drive, right? Some people have longer commutes and stuff to work. Are you gonna make fun of them and rag on them because they have to take cars? This is why I'm criticizing this post, because it doesn't feel like, hey, here's what's wrong with car infrastructure. It's just like, whoa, car bad, people who drive cars are stupid, ah, look guys, look, this is why they're dumb. This is just an incident involving a vehicle that could happen because they're vehicles. There's always going to be a downside to everything we consume. It's fine to call it out, but if your argument is just to rag on everybody who participates, whether they want to or not, then that just doesn't make sense. Now, here's the post I really wanted to talk about. The caption here says, "This is how to do it. Fight for the few spaces we have left." I wonder what they mean by that. Now, as you just saw, this person just whacked him on top of the head because they were in the middle of the crosswalk. You can't do that, like that's assault. You can't just get up on top of somebody's bike and whack them with a stick because you want to. To be completely fair, it is really annoying that some people will drive up to the crosswalk, because, like, where can pedestrians go? The crosswalk is made for them. There's no reason for them to be in the middle of the crosswalk, especially if there might be oncoming traffic on the other side. These guys are undeniably being stupid. But then this person just comes in and whacks this guy on the helmet with a small little toy baseball bat thing. Like, that's a literal crime. This person just committed a crime. And sure, no, he wasn't beaten to a pulp, alright? He wasn't hit with a stone cold stunner, alright? He wasn't given the Omni-Man treatment. But you can't just do this to somebody because you want to. And then when you promote stuff like this, it's hard to take you seriously. And there's people in this thread literally supporting this. Look, this person says, what an icon. This person literally said they'd be the guy if they had the time to do so. And this person said, if I did this in Texas, I would die so quick. And this person responds, walking in America, black, gender non-conforming, breaking the pedestrian motorist pecking order. Yeah, you dead. Bro, what? Definitely not the fact that you just hopped on this person's bike and whacked him with a toy baseball bat because he was in the middle of a crosswalk. Yeah, it's all of these things. This is so blatantly stupid, bro. Like, how hard would it be to just simply say, hey, can you back up a little bit? I'm trying to walk and I don't want to get hit by a car. I'm not saying you should have to do that because these people shouldn't be in the middle of the crosswalk, but what makes you think in your right mind that you can just do something like this? Had it been the other way around, you guys would be posting that on here and then justifying your hatred of cars. If this person was jaywalking and somebody decided to ram them with their car, you'd get mad at the driver, in which you should, because don't run people over, but essentially they'd be doing the same thing you're encouraging, it's just on the different side. Maybe you shouldn't fight fire with fire because you just get more fire. And look, this person says, notice the unwanted contact part, right? And this person responds, you know how many people have unwanted contact from cars and get maimed or lose their life each year? Cry me a river. Which, yes, obviously, getting ran over from cars sucks, getting in car accidents suck, getting hit by some random idiot who doesn't know how to drive and got their license from like a lottery ticket is annoying. But do you really think doing the same thing or doing a similar thing is going to solve the issue? They're not even willing to be like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have hit him, but I understand why you're mad. They're just like, yeah, no, this is just justified. Do that, yeah, hit them, be violent, yeah, because obviously they have the power to be even more violent, so it's okay if we're just a little bit violent. That doesn't solve anything. And this person's downplaying the assault. So let's say if someone had a car and they briefly bumped somebody accidentally, would you downplay that, or would you say, oh yeah, you almost killed that pedestrian? I would say the latter, and you probably would too. You can't just downplay an action just because it's supporting your side. And this person's getting actively downvoted. That's crazy. It's not like he said, yeah, those bikers definitely deserve to be in the crosswalk, pedestrians suck. This person says it's not the way to do it, and that they'd catch an assault charge or end up shot or stabbed, which is true. Not that something like that should happen, but you know, it's America, it would. And look, this person gets 43 downvotes. People are just actively choosing to live in a hive mind because they don't like cars. They're too deluded in their hatred that they can't even see things objectively. If bro wasn't literally wearing a helmet, I might agree with you. I don't care if you did it with a Cheerio, you shouldn't do it regardless. You guys would be dumping tears and raising fists if someone hit a jaywalker, which I'm not saying isn't justified because it would be, but the fact that people can't look at this and say, yeah, the person probably shouldn't have gone this far to whack the person with the bike while also hopping on it, the most you should do is just criticize them for being an idiot. Now, I'm not gonna say that every single post on this subreddit is literally that extreme, right? A lot of it is just genuine criticism and memes and, you know, whatever. But the fact that I don't see enough people criticizing a lot of the bad posts just kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And this post is just absolutely delusional. So long story short, this person pretty much says that everybody hates driving whether they realize it or not, which is just absolutely stupid. Because there are people in the world like me who are interested in cars. Maybe you could make an argument for the average person, you know, they may not like the long commute, but some people may like driving. There's a lot more than just going down a highway, right? Drive-thrus are an example. Maybe not everybody wants to go inside and have to deal with ordering and stuff, right? Just staying in your car can be really nice. And on top of that, there's just a lot more than just pressing a gas pedal and braking, right? First off, not every single car is like some base model Corolla with literally no power and no amenities. There are cars with different drivetrains and different features and different luxuries and different capabilities. This person says it's isolating, but like maybe that could be a good thing. In fact, many people prefer it over public transportation. Some public transportation is, you know, annoying and loud. Sometimes it smells, stuff like that. Some people just kind of want to be by themselves, listen to their own music, you know, speed or whatever. I'm not saying speeding is good, but you know, empty roads and stuff, you might want to have a little go. But this take makes zero sense, and it's just built around your personal hatred towards cars, not everybody else's. If people hated cars, they'd probably complain a lot more. You also say it's unnatural, and like that's the fun part. It's unnatural to go on a roller coaster, right? Because, you know, you're not supposed to go that fast, but because you can go faster than you're capable of going, it makes it fun and exhilarating. Yeah, it's dangerous and stressful, but so is so many other things. Sports, and especially combat sports, are dangerous and stressful. People still do it because they love to do it. Working out and going to the gym can be dangerous. You're literally tearing your muscles so they can build back up while lifting heavy weights that, you know, with bad form could potentially cause an injury. People still do it because they love to do it. If you only look at the bad things with a lot of this stuff, then that's all you'll see the world. And I'm not gonna like be like some big, oh, morally grandstanding person, right? You have the right to hate cars. But when it gets this far gone, I kind of just have to write you off mentally. At the end of the day, like I said, you can hate cars all you want. I'm not saying that's invalid. But when you have posts calling people car brains, threads that have nothing to do with what the subreddit was made for, and then straight up encouraging mild assault, it's just kind of hard to look at this and take this seriously. I think it's fine to hate cars, and in fact, in a way, I kind of support it. But judging by some of these posts, that's not what's going on here. I don't know. I think having a subreddit that just bashes cars and people who use them, no matter what their use is for, is just as bad as people making a subreddit bashing on pedestrians. But that's just me.